Better click to that. There we go. Didn't do all the recording to start with because I forgot to press the button. Anyway, we're going to hit the places you may have heard of and haven't a clue where they are. For example, Pond Cove, Camp Cove Road, Western Light, Gull Rock Road, all these wonderful evocative names that you may have seen in eBird reports and wonder where the heck they are. Well, we're going to take you around and we're going to try and carpool as much as we can for that one. So like I say, it's early notice for that just to give people time to arrange accommodation. I mean, heck, you can hit it from Metro easy enough if you get up early. At that time of year, it's going to be getting up early. It's going to be light, so it should be good. I'm really looking forward to that. I'm very excited, as you can tell. I love birding on Briar, and you never know what the heck you're going to find there, as folks know. And one of the cats has just joined us. Okay, anyway, to the main event of the evening. We have the featured presenter, Marcel. He's a passionate birder with a truly touching story, as we put in the narrative. National level karate competitor. That's a little worrying. So if you are coming down to Cape Force to bird, yeah, we'll look after you, okay, mate? But anyway, navigating the challenges of a traumatic brain injury, found healing and meaning in nature and birding especially. He's going to take us through his journey and his newfound passion, sharing his favorite birding moments and illustrate what a powerful connection there is between the wildlife around you, nature, and, well, you. And now I am going to attempt to share the screen. Is that the right button, Ange?
Yeah. Make host.
Where have we gone? Just there. You should now be a host.
Yeah, it says I am. I said I'm the host now. I'm in charge. All right, I'll share my screen.
No problem. You probably do this an awful lot more than I do. I hope.
Yes. I used Zoom a lot in during COVID. Quite a lot. Can everyone see that?
We see a black screen.
All
It
right.
says you
Oh,
have started screen sharing. Double click. That's it. There you go.
lovely. You can see me.
I love the beige toque, by the way.
Yes. Carly, my wife, she picked that up and it was going to be for me, but she looks better in it, so so she's going to keep it. Um, Let me just get things going here. One moment. There we go. Put myself down there. Okay. So two things. Really exciting that you'll have Hope on your next talk in February. That is so cool. I will definitely be there for that. And secondly, Briar Island. I've been to Briar Island twice, but that was before I was into birds. And so I am, as soon as you said that you're going to go to Briar, I'm like, okay, I'm going to arrange to be there. And that's going to be so awesome for my first time birding on Briar Island. Um, okay, so why don't I just get started and tell you a little bit about myself? The backstory to this presentation is important to kind of get the whole picture as to how I got into birding and how birds have really had an impact on my life. So, um, so I live in Windsor, Nova Scotia. If you didn't hear that before, I'm in Windsor, and I live with my wife Carly, and we have two cats and a dog, and we're both teachers. We're both educators here in Windsor. I should say that Carly was instrumental in putting this slideshow together, so I need to give her credit early on before I forget about that. Now I will try to keep this between 20 and 30 minutes. And you'll see me looking down here and there because I got my notes down here just to make sure I'm on track with the slides that I'm working with. So yeah, so your brain on birds. That was hard for me to say a few times. Your brain on birds, but this is something that I really look forward to talk about a bit of my story, and telling my story in itself is healing as well. So let me get through a bit of my backstory. and then you're all here to hear me talk about birds, so I'm going to get to that as soon as I can. So. Okay, so nature. I've always been using nature as a way as an outlet for my mental health. As you can see, these are just some of the photos in adulthood, but growing up, I did so much camping with my family. I grew up in Hampton, New Brunswick, if anyone's familiar with Hampton. Um, and so it's only now that I really realize that some of the birds that I would hear in my backyard waking up in the morning, I know the sounds. I knew the sounds, I didn't know what they were. And now thinking back, I'm like, okay, those were white-throated sparrows, things like that. So I like having these moments where I can look back to my past and know that birds were a part of it. But they weren't always. 2.5 years ago is when I really started, and I'll get into that soon. But as you can see, I've just been outdoors a lot of my life. I spend so much time outdoors before my injury, and you'll see how important it was to my recovery. Sports. These are just the photos that I could really come up with quickly for without digging into albums. But I played football. I played university baseball. I swam a lot, and those were a huge part of my life. And no longer really are for the reasons that you'll learn, but they really helped me like establish like physical activity as a great way to feel obviously healthy, but connected with other people and being outside too. That was another thing. Um, so the the karate aspect. So that's kind of how I got to this point. So as you can see on that photo of me as a kid in my basement, I was I think around 4.5 or 5 when I started karate. And as you can see with the other photos, I competed quite a lot, and I ended up by before I was 16, I had my black belt. I was competing with Team New Brunswick, competing nationally, and that was also something that I did regularly. It was the only consistent sport that I did throughout my childhood, going into adulthood, really, because team sports kind of fall off after you finish high school, really, and karate just it didn't do that. I continued with it. Um, so the karate aspect, I'll get back to that in a moment. But my education as well. So I ended up I did my schooling in New Brunswick, and then I did a degree in Montreal and Quebec, and then it was in Ontario at Queen's that I met my wife. As you can see, that was at our graduation together there, and it was in Ontario that we met, and we both came to Nova Scotia for work. I came first, and she came later. And here we are, and that was in 2015. So we've been here in Windsor for quite some time. So this is where we get into the injury that I sustained, where I aptly named it the clipped wings slide. So my karate injury, it was in 2016, and I had just gotten back into competing. I started, in fact, my own karate club. I was training more, and then I had my first tournament to prepare for national championships, and that's when I sustained a pretty devastating brain injury. Now, karate's not supposed to be full contact, but obviously things happen, and this you can see in the bottom photo there, that was the next day. That was the next day that I was um, that the aftermath. And I actually this is the first time I've seen that photo of my wife. She never showed it to me. It was only putting this together that she dug back and found that photo. And it I didn't know at the time, but I had brain injuries or concussions before, and they were not like this one. But I was pretty confident that I was going to recover quite quickly because I'd had some before with all the sports I'd done. However, as things would progress, it didn't go away. The symptoms they didn't go away. And the other photo there is in our old apartment where I ended up going back to work for about 10 days teaching, and then the symptoms were getting worse and worse. The headache, the light sensitivity. And then finally, I had to take time off work, and I took quite some time, several months. And one morning I woke up and Carly had arranged this little heart of memories of just to kind of help me, feel better. And so that really highlights, I wanted to put that in there to highlight that Carly's been truly instrumental in my recovery. And she really took on the role of sort of a caretaker in a sense for the last, well, decade, really. And so, yeah, that was something I wanted to include to kind of highlight that. Um, Now, I'll just quickly explain like the brain injury aspect. Now, the symptoms of my brain injury present with a permanent headache. So the first year of recovery, it was quite severe. It was like a vice that was on my head, and it eventually lifted enough that I could start doing the things that I used to do. I started work again, but all while the headache itself did not go away. So I have a permanent headache that will fluctuate with what I'm doing. And I work with children, and as you can imagine, working with children can be chaotic. I'm a middle school teacher, and so all throughout the last decade, I've still managed to still work at times part-time, just with how severe things have been. But I've been able to, I'm more resilient than I give myself credit for. And I'm really grateful that I did stick with it because I am where I am now. Had I taken time, I'm not sure if I would have gone back. A lot of things that I tried to do to help myself with recovery is I used to run a lot shortly shortly before my injury, and then I took like a year and a half, 2 years off, and then I started running again. But that really felt like a chore, and I was kind of forcing myself. And I realized that doing physical activity was important, but forcing myself to do those things was not going to be helpful. It just wasn't. I ran. I think one year I ran 1,000 kilometers, rain or shine, snow or whatever for the whole year. And it just, at the end of the year, I was like, that sucked. That was not fun. I don't want to do that again. And so I kind of had to think again about a way that I could really help myself. The difficult part was thinking as a thinking person, thinking was what was causing also my symptoms to get worse. And so that's a little bit it's a little bit ironic, but I no longer felt like I could devote myself to like academic inquiry, reading. I used to read a lot, and so it changed a lot of my life. I would sleep a lot. I still sleep probably 10 to 12 hours a day, with trying to keep my headache at bay and try and reset it as often as I can to get through the day, all the while still working full time. So really, this is just to highlight that for quite some time, I felt really sickly and I just didn't feel like myself. The things that I used to do all the time, I didn't really find joy in, or they caused me quite a lot of hardship and pain, quite literally. Um, so as you can imagine, the depression sank in. I also have a lot of other injuries, like I have nerve issues in my back and my shoulder, my neck, and so those things compounded were quite difficult to deal with, and that depression state really started to build, and it was actually interestingly, during COVID was probably the best time for me physically because I didn't have to do the things that were essentially expected of people really going socializing, which took a lot of brain power, or teaching. Honestly, teaching in person was the hardest part of my day, was teaching. So moving online, teaching online, I was able to kind of set my own speed, and it was really good for me physically. While I know for a lot of other people, it wasn't. But that's just an interesting thing that I found that COVID had a silver lining for me. But coming out of COVID was when things started to ramp up again with work, et cetera. And so I started to feel that depression again, that trapped feeling, trapped in my pain. And so I decided to seek help, and that was in 2023. And this is where we get into the birding aspect. So I was introduced to acceptance and commitment therapy, which for short, it's ACT therapy, which the concept essentially is you, you bring your pain along for the ride and you try and find things that you enjoy and commit to doing those things despite the pain that you're in. And that was something that I at first I didn't latch onto very well because the most things I didn't really enjoy doing because it caused me symptoms. It caused my symptoms to be worse. But it was in the summer of 2023 that I had my kind of awakening when it came to birds, and I'll explain that crucial part for me. So these are if you don't recognize these two birds, we have a cedar waxwing, and I'll about the cedar waxwing for a moment here. So the cedar waxwing, there was one day Carly and I we were walking in Windsor downtown, and we happened to pass this beautiful berry producing tree, and it was just at eye level, just at the edge of the sidewalk, and in this tree, it was a beautiful day. There was a flock of birds, and I had no idea what they were, and they were so beautiful. I was in such awe that I couldn't comprehend that these birds that existed. I thought they were actual like figurines, that they were not real until they started moving and plucking berries, and they were just unbothered by me. And it was such a beautiful moment for me to have this realization that it piqued my curiosity so much that it was just a new discovery for me. And as we all know, just that understanding of birds, and there's just an endless amount of things you can learn about them. And so I quickly started to learn, like, what are these birds? I had no idea. Cedar waxwings, okay. So really I had caught the bug at that point, and I really do credit the cedar waxwing as being the spark that kind of led me to wanting to learn more about birds. Um, so I found myself outside so much more immediately, and quickly there were moments that I would not be able to realize that I was in pain, and so that quickly became something that I wanted more often. Is that freeing feeling of exploration and just the fresh air. I wasn't going outside for no purpose. I didn't go outside just because it was like something that I thought I should do. I was going outside because it was something I wanted to do. And quickly I started learning the sounds of all the birds around me. Um, the blue jays, the chickadees, the cardinals, the crows, the starlings. And it was those birds that now that I know so well, and I I they're considered not very exciting birds to a lot of people, but I like to remind myself that they were really the birds that were so accessible to me early on, that allowed me to really like nourish this newfound passion, or this exploration that I wanted to do. And if I didn't have those birds around me, so like just so accessible, that this wouldn't really have, I think, picked up as much steam as it did. And so I like to give credit to those more underappreciated birds, and knowing that cardinals are not as new, or sorry, they are newer to most of Nova Scotia than they used to be. I'm grateful that they are around during the time that I was kind of having that formative first few months, because the cardinal, like, that noise, that like laser beam noise is just, I love that, and I could recognize it, and I got satisfaction just knowing just being able to hear birds and know what they were. Like, that was also really satisfying. And now I'm at the point where I can recognize just by ear like dozens of birds around, and it's pretty neat. And that's when it started. Um, so you can just imagine, soon after, I didn't have binoculars. I was just going after outside, and then eventually the binoculars came. And as you know, if you've gone from birding with no binoculars to binoculars, I was absolutely astounded at the just world that opened up, and being able to see birds at such a close distance. It was just another like beautiful moment of being able to just step into their lives essentially, and see them at just doing their daily things. It was lovely. then I should say these photos, I took these photos. The Kingfisher photos aren't my favorite, but that waxwing is definitely one of my favorite photos. Not the day of, obviously, this was later, but it was one of my favorite waxwing photos that I could find in my camera roll. Um, so the Kingfisher is there because I'll never forget my first time at Miners Marsh, and a lot of you, I'm sure, know Miners Marsh in Kentville. And I actually didn't know Miners Marsh existed until it must have been months after, like the fall almost. And I was at Miners Marsh for one of the first times, and I hear this bird fly overhead, and it's with its rattle, and then I put my binoculars on it, and I honestly can't explain the fascination of seeing it dive into the water. Like these are things I just didn't expect to happen. Didn't expect to see this bird. Had no idea what it was, and then to watch it hunt right in front of me, it just absolutely, again, another moment of just pure excitement for me because it was really another kind of um, like I said when I saw the waxwing, it was just another moment of pure excitement. And for a moment, I didn't feel like I was in pain. I had that amazing feeling of fulfillment that I hadn't had for nearly a decade. And so I knew pretty quickly. I came home and I told my wife, I'm like, yeah, I think this is my new thing. And and that was in 2023. And so yeah, so the Kingfisher. So I'll change slides and I'll speak to what's going on here. So you might be able to hear this or see this video of me doing what I'm doing at the Irving Nature Park in New Brunswick near my home, and the chickadee that was flying onto my hand, like that was pretty neat. But some of the other things that in 2024 were just getting to know the birding community. And you can see there's actually the photo of my dad and I, and that's near our house and my house, and we kind of are matching pretty well there, not on purpose. And we just went out one day and we just birded together, and that was just a really nice moment. Some of the other moments are there's the Blomidon Natural Society is actually one that I have done quite a few events with, and I have to say it's just that's another thing that has just enriched this whole experience is meeting people and learning from people who know so much about nature and wildlife. It's just been really lovely, and in rain or shine, we've gone out to events. One of them was actually with Nature Nova Scotia at the Salt Marsh Trail in Dartmouth, and I think in Dartmouth, and it was on Earth Day, and it was just poor freezing rain, but we still went. And we had such an amazing time, and we talked to people. We talked to the leader. He was an ornithologist, and just yeah, it was really nice. And then the bottom photo there of me holding up my those my hands, that's to depict the amount of birds for my 34th birthday. Every birthday now we do a birthday bird hunt, and the goal is to find as many bird species as the as my age. So that year was 34, and I that was me flashing 34 because I had just found my 34th species for the day, and so it was quite exciting. So those are things that I did within a year of getting that bird bug. So let's move on to let's see. Right. The next thing that really enhanced this whole experience is a camera. And I quickly, in 2025, or the end of 2024 is when I got my first camera, and I had no idea. I'd never held a camera before. And I quickly learned that I needed a longer lens. And as you can see, I ended up getting a bigger lens. And that's just, if you can imagine going from no binoculars to binoculars and then to a camera, it's that same feeling, that same step from just the awe that I can experience when when I capture a moment or I can see the details in a bird that I just didn't expect to ever see, or it's the camera has really been something that has enhanced this whole experience too, albeit it is at times difficult for my brain to look through that tiny eyepiece and look at a screen, etc. But the whole idea is um, I'm I'm doing things that, regardless of the pain it will cause, it has a net positive emotional impact on me. And that's essentially why I continue to go birding and get outside because at times it does hurt. Physically, my symptoms will increase and I won't feel very well. But if I go birding and I finish my birding and I'm not feeling well, I normally will say, well, it was worth it. That's the key there. Like it was worth the pain. And there hasn't really been much in my life in the last 10 years that I can honestly say is worth the pain. And so this has really filled, it's the joke is it's really filled my bird bath. Um, and that's the last bird pun I'll give for the presentation. And so the camera has really just taken that to the next level for me. And I'll share with you some of my favorite photos that I've taken in the last, really, I've only had a camera for uh, this lens that you see. I've only had it for less than a year. And so I'll show you some of the photos that I've taken. So the waxwing there, that's a Bohemian waxwing, and that was actually the photo that I submitted to the Blomidon Naturalist Society's they had an exhibit, a nature exhibit that they had at a winery in at Benjamin Bridge, and that's the photo I submitted, and I ended up being in the exhibit, which was really lovely. And my wife Carly also she submitted a photo, and she was also in the exhibit, so that's something that we were able to share together, which was really lovely. And this Baltimore Oriole, I went on a trip to New Brunswick just to go birding back home and just see what I could find, and that was one thing that I found. And this Eastern Phoebe as well was also in New Brunswick. So yeah, the up close and personal with the birds is really exciting. So let's see if I think I have other photos. Right, so here's a few other photos. Um, the grebe is in New Brunswick as well, and the swallow would be at Miners Marsh, which they let you get so close, and I couldn't believe the photo that I was able to get of that tree swallow. And you can see in the middle, Carly. What's really nice is she also has now gotten into photography and bird photography. By virtue of what I've started doing, and it's something that we share together now, and it's just really special. Um, so I wanted to include her in in this slide just to kind of wrap in that whole like exploration, the camera aspect, the getting outside and doing it with the your favorite person is also it's just really special too. And so I'm really grateful for to have her along for this journey with me. Okay. Um, the one thing that I will say about birding, how it's definitely helped with my overall mental and physical health. I after my injury, I started to do a lot of reading and understanding about brain health and what I can do to give myself the best long-term outcome, positive outcome, despite my injury. And the data suggests that because of the severity of my brain injury, I am at a much higher risk of developing a degenerative brain disease. And that really weighed on me for a long time to know that it's there is a possibility that I could in my 40s, 50s, 60s develop something incurable that a brain disease, whether it's Alzheimer's or something along those lines. And that was difficult to kind of grapple with as well. It was kind of another setback for me to kind of have that, well, I don't have like my health is so fragile, and I don't know for how long I'll be able to enjoy my life. And so looking at kind of the ways in which brain health is affected, three of the things are, if you make sure that you are socially active, that you make the point to be involved with, if you just remain social, if you have a network of people and you just make a point to be socially active, like that is one thing that'll contribute to overall brain health and prevent and to stave off the risk of brain disease. Another one is physical activity, which I'm definitely getting a lot of physical activity with this whole birding experience. And the other one is challenging. So challenging your brain, and the endless amount of things that I can learn about birds is so great, because that is kind of scratching that itch, that need that I have to learn. Just the my pursuit of knowledge, what that desire that I have to just learn is just so ingrained in me, that this is really fueling that, and it's really great. And so it's overall, this whole experience of just birding and has already checked off some of the main pieces to ensure that my brain stays as healthy as it can. Things like I'm starting to learn the scientific names of birds. More often. And I'm I'm a French teacher too, so I'm also learning the French names of the birds. And I'll tell you, a lot of them do not translate at all. Like they're completely different. In fact, the common yellow throat I always refer to as the masked, or yeah, the masked warbler, because in French that is what it's called. And so I always mistakenly call it the masked warbler, and Carly knows what I mean when I say that. But that's just kind of neat, just learning some of those things about birds, like the French, and just learning everything I can, is when I can, is really nice. Um, okay, I'll move on. 2025, we're getting to present day here. So as you can see, the birding continued, and we did some events like the at Miners Marsh. We did the Ducks Unlimited, the Duck and Run little 5K, which again I got outside. I did some activity. I did it at my one of my favorite places. Um, the photo there of the waxwing, and my photo in the exhibit. Another one was the Christmas bird count. This is the first time that I participated in the Christmas bird count here in West Hants, and I reached out to the organizer, and I was able to do my favorite trail, which is it's called the Manning Trails, or I think it has another name, Fraser's Trails, but I refer to it as Manning Trails because it's behind the Gladys Manning retirement home. And I've been through those trails hundreds and hundreds of times, and it was just really nice to be able to do that. And I actually brought along a colleague of mine from work, and she's just getting into birding too. And that's just a nice thing to share with people. And that evening, I went to the little get together at Pat's house, and because he organized the West Hants count, and I got to meet a lot of other birders there, and it was just a really nice evening. So that whole social aspect is really beneficial to me, and I'm really grateful to be meeting a lot of you, and hopefully I get to meet more of you in the near future, in person especially, and maybe go birding together. Um, so yeah, 2025 was also a good year for me, feeling like I'm finally coming out of the difficult period of my life, the decade of true of truly feeling like not myself. And you can it's interesting because I look at these photos that you're looking at, and the smile that I see there, like I can say that it was genuine. Where a lot of photos in the past, I can remember when I look at photos of myself that I genuinely it looks like I'm genuinely smiling, but I remember how I felt in that moment, and it's just really nice to be able to have. I had a full year where I felt more like myself, despite the symptoms that I still carry on a daily basis. So 2025 was a really great year, in regards to kind of building on the getting more traction with birding and just feeling more like myself. So here are some of my favorite places. Um, I go to these places so regularly now. It's kind of like my little circuit that um, I'll do a little circuit, and you can, if you know these places, they're kind of other than Hobson's Lake that I'll explain in a moment. But Miners Marsh, Kentville Ravine, and Grand Pre, the Guzzle. Those are some of my favorite places that are just accessible, and you can really get a variety of birds. Um, and Carly and I, we go together often. On a weekend morning, we'll just say, "Hey, let's go to the Guzzle," or if it's nice, obviously we'll go to Miners Marsh and the Ravine. And I hope to also go more to the Kentville Bird Sanctuary because that I've only been there once, and it was actually during a Blomidon event, and so I would love to go back there again because we saw so many birds, and it was something like 45 in one outing, which was amazing, 45 species. Um, okay, let's see here. Next. Okay, favorite moments. So this was last year. I made my own swallow boxes, tree swallow boxes near my property. Um, and I didn't know what to expect. I put up three, and two of them successfully had nesting birds in them. One remained empty, and of the two boxes, all of them successfully fledged and left the nest, all of them. And so like 11 total. And I could not, again, it was another moment of like pure awe. And I was so nervous because we had that heat wave this summer, and I was absolutely terrified. I would go stand and just stare at the box and be like, I hope they're okay. And I, they ended up being okay. I made sure that the boxes were the right size, and um, so I'm really glad that despite what happened in weather-wise this summer, that they all made it out, and that was just another amazing moment for me. And I'm gonna build like five more and put up more around the area, and um, it's also just it's been a way for me to meet people just on the trail. If I have my camera or I'm checking the boxes, people will come up to me and just talk to me, and I'll get to meet community members, and I'll show them photos, and I'll point out a bird that they didn't even know was there, and they'll ask what it is, and I just that I'm just connecting with random strangers, and I then see them again on the same trail, and we get to chat, and they say, "Hey, I noticed this bird again," and I do think that I'm having a bit of an impact on the people around me, and their interest in birds is by virtue of mine and me sharing my passion. They are starting to take more notice of what's around them. And I think that is in itself just so beneficial to just spreading, I guess, wonder of the environment. And of course, if people care more about what's around them and their environment, they're going to do their part to try and protect it too. So that's been really nice as well. And a lot of my colleagues, it was a secret for I kept it a bit of a secret how I was really into birds for the first like 6 months to a year, but eventually it really just came out. And people ask me about birds all the time. They genuinely asking me questions at work about birds, and I'm happy to be that guy, that bird. I'm the bird guy. In fact, there's a group chat that's my wife put together with some other colleagues who are interested in birds too. And in the group chat, my nickname is Big Bird, which is kind of funny. But I'm like the bird guy that gets to answer all the questions. So I think that's really, really cool. So this was one of my favorite moments. Setting up these swallow boxes, just being terrified about what would happen. And you can see actually in the photo, this is another colleague of mine, and his name's Eric, and he has a background in forestry, and he is just a wizard when it comes to nature and the environment and species. It's incredible. So I brought him with me to check the boxes, and he's like, "Let's go." And so having that moment with him too was really nice, and we get to share, I guess, things that we've been learning about just the natural world around us. And he actually, interesting enough, he leads a group of. He takes our grade 7, our entire grade 7 class at our school to Briar Island every single September and teaches them about the environment and tries to encourage them to be stewards of the environment. And I'm going to mention to him that maybe he might come with me if on the NSBS event to Briar Island in June. I'm going to mention it to him, and so these are the things that I feel like I'm going to get to be able to do, and just further enhance my friendships with the people around me, the colleagues that I have, and it's been really nice that way. It's new to a lot of people, and so people are fascinated by the concept that, oh, you know a lot about something I don't know anything about. And so when I share things with them, they're also just really intrigued and interesting. And birds are just tremendously interesting and they're all around us. And yeah, so that's one of my favorite moments. That's kind of the swallow box is really were something I was nervous to do, but I'm glad I did it. Okay, so quickly, I'll try and tell you about these two moments. So we had a pair of merlins nesting in our backyard this past summer, and it was so wonderful to see them just live their life in our backyard. And I never thought I wanted to see a Merlin, and I didn't think I ever would. And they showed up in my backyard. And that was incredible. And if you can see the other photo, the circle there, you might be able to guess what that is. And this is a bird. This is one of my favorite moments. So the indigo bunting, that is a bird that when I first saw a photo of it, I said, I need to see that bird. That is the most incredible bird. It's so beautiful. And again, it gave me that excitement about a bird. And I said, I want to see that bird, but I really wanted to see it naturally, meaning I wanted to find it on my own. I didn't want to be led to it. I wanted it to be a really natural moment where I found it or it was a surprise or something. And I happened to be in Quebec, near my brother's in Gatineau, Quebec, near Ottawa, and my wife and I just picked a random uh, like marsh area on the map, and I said, let's go there just to see what's there. And we weren't expecting it indigo bunting, and we went through the trail, and this there were just frogs jumping everywhere in the trail, and it was just so majestic. I mean, I say it's majestic, but Carly was getting destroyed by mosquitoes, absolutely destroyed. And so she's like, "We need to leave." And so we turned around, and on our way out, um, this flash of blue flew in front of us, and I honestly could not believe, and we both were in such shock. We knew exactly what it was. And it was the right habitat. It was the right, like, it was, and I knew that it made sense that it was in this particular habitat after I saw it. But this was the only photo I was able to get of it. And it was so quick and it was such a bad photo, but it, it was such a beautiful moment. And to share that with Carly as well, and to be such a surprising moment, it's just another one of those things that just the fulfillment was just so great. So those are some birding moments. There might be a few here. Okay, this is the this is really the reason why I'm speaking with you today is because I took a moment to reach out to some podcasters that I had been listening to regularly about birds, and I shared with them a really incredible moment that I had related to a blackpoll warbler. And I won't detail it because if you want, I do encourage you to listen to that episode. Take a moment and write down the details if you need to, but um, I really don't talk about a lot of the same moments in this. presentation as I do in this podcast episode. But I reached out to them, and they were so happy to hear from a listener who I explained to them that their podcast had such a profound impact on me, and how much their podcast has made a difference in allowing me to learn about birds, laugh a little bit, and do that with my eyes closed, really. Which, as I explained, I have trouble with watching, looking at a screen, and so I could rest while fulfilling some of the learning that I really wanted to do related to birds. And in the top on the top, John and Shannon on the top right of the photo there, they're both ornithologists at the Chicago Field Museum, the bird division of the Chicago Field Museum, and they're just incredible. Their knowledge is just they're such kind people. It was just such an incredible moment, and it was actually they have their podcast with RJ and Amanda, who are a couple, and they're kind of beginner birders in a sense, like I am. And they just decided they met John and Shannon at in Chicago, and they all live in Chicago, and they just decided to start a podcast. And each week they feature a different bird or a different concept related to birds, and they wanted to bring me on. And this is an extension of this conversation that I had with them. And I really wouldn't be having this conversation with you if I didn't reach out to them and just express how grateful I was to them. And it really kickstarted my desire to want to finally talk about what it is I've been going through. And so this has been an incredible outlet for me to express my gratitude to the birding community, and to advocate a little bit on behalf of brain injury survivors like myself, and really drive home the point that we are among you, whether you think we are or not, or if it's a surprise that there are people living with brain injuries that seemingly look like they're fine. Um, there are so many people like myself, and there are people in so much worse conditions than mine. Like, I am very fortunate to have maintained my cognitive abilities. Um, and that's not always the case with people. And while I've maintained my physical ability to my just be able to move, I feel disabled, but I also recognize that I am quite fortunate to still be able to have those capacities, those faculties that I have maintained physically, mentally. So all I have to say is this podcast that I'm featuring on the screen now is instrumental in getting me to share, and that's why I'm really here right now, is because of them, to share everything with you. Um, and lastly, about this, just the people that I've been meeting in the birding community, I can't believe how wonderful they really are. And people who love birds, you just know right away that they're going to be nice people. That's essentially what I've discovered. Just people who are into birds are beautiful. And they have such just kindness to them. They're the wholesomeness that people who care about these birds and get excited about them. Like, how can you not expect them to be nice people? That's really what I've learned, and I want to be around more of those people. And that's another thing that's really enriched this experience, is knowing that when I go to an event, I'm gonna meet some wonderful people that I'm gonna look forward to seeing again. And that's that in itself is just how many people can say that they're in a community um, of people that have shared interests, that it's just lovely. That's really, I think I said it well. It's a lovely community. Okay, carrying on. I'm almost done. Okay, I left this favorite moment to the end because, again, it really highlights how much this whole experience has impacted me in a positive way, but also my wife Carly, where you can see this is just a photo that I took of her just standing. She's in a little field. This was we really tried to hunt to try and find um, some bird boxes. Sorry, not bird boxes. I'm just reading my notes. I read the word bird box. No, we were trying to hunt to find some owls. We have not seen an owl, and we are desperately trying to find an owl. And this was one day, only like 2 weeks ago during the Christmas holiday, that we just decided to go owl hunting, drive the back roads. And of course, we didn't find any, but we did stop at a field and we saw some tree sparrows. And I was like, okay, that's really cool. We don't see them. I don't see them very often, so it was just a small flock of them. And we walked into the field, and Carly was using Merlin. She's like, no, it also says that there's chipping sparrows. I'm like, no, I'm almost sure there's not. I know the difference between the two visually. Like it's not a chipping sparrow because I definitely saw like 10 tree sparrows. Anyway, I went back to the car. I was like, I'm over this. And then I just look in the field and she's still there trying to figure out if she can find a chipping sparrow amongst these uh, tree sparrows. And I just swung my camera around and took a photo of her. I'm like, the roles have reversed entirely. She's now the one that is standing in the field, and I'm the one waiting in the car. And it completely, and she's wearing the Nova Scotia Bird Society hat. Um, and I only took like 2 or 3 photos of the sparrows. And when we got home, I found this one on on my camera and I blew it up, and you can't really tell from this photo, but if you zoomed in, uh, it has the features of a chipping sparrow, and we confirmed that it is in fact a chipping sparrow based on not just the color of the stripe on its eye, but the color of the upper and lower bill in its winter non-breeding plumage, etc. And so that was a really nice moment, and Carly definitely gets the win on that moment because she was the one that stayed out there to really determine what bird we were looking at. There was definitely a dozen tree sparrows, but there definitely, as the photo says, there was a chipping sparrow among them. And that was just a really, really great moment for me and her. And we laughed about it. And it speaks to just, again, this whole journey that has been both mine and hers. And so that's really, really special. Okay. So what's next for 2026? More birding, of course, more birds. I have seen in Nova Scotia I've seen in Canada something like 130 species, but I haven't seen an owl. Uh, we both really want to see an owl. I really also want to go back to Quebec and see another indigo bunting. I'm going to go back to that same place and camp out and just wait. And I'm going to find it and I'm going to get photos. Um, and those are the two things I think I really want to accomplish, and I know Carly also does. I hope to meet more of you in person. That would be really lovely. I'm going to submit some photos to the bird gallery that is going to be put together by the NSBS that will be at the Natural History Museum. So that's something I'm going to take some more photos. I might even make my own calendar with a bird for each month, my favorite bird photo from each month, and I'll include perhaps the Mi'kmaq words for each bird and the French, just to again just provide that interesting aspect of learning that I really value. What else? I also My goal is to offer my first bird tour in my favorite trail that I mentioned, the Manning Trails here in Windsor. So that is another thing I would like to offer, um, perhaps spring or summer. I just need to figure out what and when would be a good time to do that. So that's another thing I'd like to do this year. I also, on that same note, I would like to connect with the Brain Injury Association of Nova Scotia to also offer bird tours to people who are living with brain injury. So something that's just low sensory, just getting them outside, just teaching people who would like to learn about birds, but also something that they can do with people who are living with the same types of limitations. It could even be people who are experiencing chronic pain like myself. So it's something I've been thinking about, and I think this year is the year that I will offer that. Again, it takes a little bit of time for me to organize these things just based on my own limitations, but I really do hope I can do that this year. Um, and let's see, that's what's in store, but at least that's what's potentially planned. And obviously, there's been so many moments that I haven't mentioned that were just spontaneous and beautiful. And I'm sure I'm going to have many of those this year. Yeah, it's been really nice to have those types of moments. Um, and that's it. And here's some funny photos of of me doing bird things. Um, Actually, the one with the plants is of us leaving. I think it was Hope for Wildlife's open house. I left with some plants, and and then Carly and I birding, of course, and one of my swallow boxes. So those are some some moments to leave you with. There's a lot of fun that we have together, and I want to thank everyone for being here and sharing or letting me share what I've gone through and how much this community has helped me live again and feel like life is worth living. So I genuinely want to thank all of you for being here and listening to my little story, and the story is not over. So thank you so much, and to the Nova Scotia Bird Society for asking me to do this. It's really meaningful, and I look forward to maybe doing this again with another organization who wants to hear me talk. So thank you. I'll end it there. Appreciate it.
Cool. Thank you very much indeed, Marcel. Appreciate it. Um, I'm a little concerned looking at your photographs at the beginning of your presentation. You appear to have alligators in New Brunswick. That
That
worried me.
that that was in West Africa.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
It could have been a
not
crocodile. I don't know. It's a
yeah,
big
yeah,
bitey thing with scales. But
yeah.
um, questions for anybody? I've got one real quick one to start with.
Sure. Wait 1 second. I want to bring Carly over and
Oh,
she's gonna sit with me and talk with me and maybe help me answer some of these questions. I want to include her. Mhm. There you go.
hi, Carly.
Hi.
Good to see
Thanks
you.
for thanks for having me, letting me sneak in at the end.
No problem. Really simple thing. Do you have any actual plans for your swallow nest boxes?
Plans in
You
what
just,
sense?
you just create, do you have an actual cut list of plans of how the wood and materials
Oh,
you're using to make them?
I did put something together on paper, yes.
Good. Could you kindly possibly forward it to me because there is a small campaign that may well be coming out from the Bird Society about swallow nest boxes we're work
Sure.
we're working on at the moment. Uh,
Lovely, yeah.
we're at the stage where we're starting to need plans, etc., before it gets up.
Okay. Yeah, I'd be glad to. I've gone through a few prototypes, and I the ones that were successful, I'm really happy with, and they're watertight.
Yeah. Yeah, we've got to get it by right. There's such a reduction in the numbers of aerial insectivores in
Hmm.
the last few years, and I'm just going to take over for a few seconds on my swallow thing. I mean, it's such a simple thing to do. It's not a massive cost involved, and it
Hmm.
can make a big difference. There's a community near here that put up 50, 60 boxes a few years ago because they had such a massive problem with bugs at night. They couldn't sit out.
Hmm.
at all in the area. Now there's lots and lots of swallows there eating lots and lots of bugs, and the people can sit out on their decks at night.
And they're cool. They're such cool birds.
Win-win for everybody. But anyway, I'll shut up. What questions have folks got? Please put your hand up, etc., and unmute and ask away.
That means I was a good teacher. There's no questions.
Are there any other birds other than owls that you're hoping to see?
Uh, Hi, Sarah. Any other birds? Okay. Are there? I know the owl is really top on the list right now, and honestly, it's any owl. I'd love to see a snowy owl.
We're
Uh,
having dreams about it.
yeah, she's actually been waking up in the morning, and she's like, "I had another owl dream." They're just, um, uh, I'm trying to think.
I think you've been trying to track down a good photo of like a northern harrier.
Right, Northern Harrier. I've seen them, but I would love to like be able to get an up close photo of that beautiful that owl-like face on it. Yeah. Anyway, so yeah, Northern Harrier. Yeah.
Instead of its grey rump, sorry, white rump
Yes,
disappearing from you at speed.
that's it. Exactly.
Yeah, they're pretty cool. We've done pretty well recently with snowy owls around us. It's vanished at the moment, but it'll turn up again. But I
Yeah.
mean, it was literally, I saw it the other day. It was sitting by the roadside, 10 feet from the car. I just stopped in the road to take a photo. And that's the problem sometimes with owls. They do just sit there and can get
Yeah.
mixed out, so we don't tend to reveal the location.
Yeah. Totally. That's why I want to just drive around and find one.
But Minus Marsh is good for them
Yeah.
in the corner.
I've heard them there. I just I couldn't see them.
Yeah.
Marcel, right now is the time when they're going to be starting calling.
Yeah.
So you just find a wood road most anywhere in
Mhm.
Nova Scotia, take your time, play an owl tape or make the noise of a saw-whet, and
Uh-huh.
be patient, you'll get lots of owls.
Yeah,
Good
I
luck.
think I'm gonna have to. Thank you.
Or alternatively, you contact a certain Mr. Forsyth up the valley, and he can probably find you an owl or two.
Mr.
Mhm.
Forsyth.
Yeah,
Bernard Forsyth, he does count.
Oh,
Oh,
I've heard the
yes,
name.
he
he's wonderful.
he's amazing with owls. He's got so many boxes. He's forgotten more than we'll ever know about them.
Yeah.
Just a massive owl advocate. He is
I,
the man.
He's the owl man.
Yeah, basically.
I wrote the name down.
Yeah, just amazing, amazing. And we can probably find you snowy around where I am, but we haven't had any short-eared this year, I must admit, yet.
No,
About time we had a short-eared down here in Southwest Nova.
they're normally over Sunday.
Yeah, but they'll turn up. But such. Interesting spark bird as well. You know, we're so used to seeing big flocks of waxwings, and
Mm,
you know, I mean, they are beautiful, and your photo shows the red, we'll call it wax stuff,
yeah,
beautifully, and a lot of people
yeah,
don't realize where the name comes from.
exactly. Yeah. It's like wax. Are they wax figurines?
Beautiful, beautiful birds, beautiful birds. Like our major spark bird was the crested caracara down the eastern shore, for Canada, not. But,
Yeah, yeah.
but yeah, that's cool. What other questions do we got, folks? Come on, we must have some more.
Not a
I must have.
question, but just a comment. Do you have any mountain ash trees around where you are that are still holding berries? Because those are the best places to find the waxwing. And the winter waxwing is the Bohemian.
Right.
Yeah, it's a little bit bigger and a whole lot brighter, and you might really enjoy an encounter of that sort.
Yeah, there are there are ash in the Manning Trails, and that's where I got the photo of that waxwing, the Bohemian. Um, And that was a great surprise. But I've been waiting to see another little flock of them, but I haven't.
You
Just
will.
in regard, it was in 2008, my husband and I were doing a Christmas bird count out in the Lewisburg area. And we came across what eventually turned out to be over 1,500 Bohemians and 1,100 American robins feasting on the persistent berries. We had a very good berry crop that year. And
I
so
guess.
when we went to the count luncheon afterwards in Lewisburg, we told everybody what we had experienced. The entire room emptied out, and everyone went racing back to that particular area along the Myra shore. And a lot of different people saw the birds. It was really spectacular.
That's
That
amazing.
was a
That's a
moment.
lot.
Oh yeah,
That's
it
cool.
was a moment. It was just one of those life-changing moments.
Oh, I
Yeah,
can
I
imagine.
hope that you get to experience something like that.
I do too. Thank
Yeah.
you.
I got a quick one as well for you again. I just
Mhm.
talked too much. I'm sorry.
Sure.
Um, is it Sony you're shooting your camera?
It is, yes. I upgraded. I had the the A6000, and then I quickly realized once I got the bigger lens that the camera could not keep up with the lens because an outdated-ish camera with such a powerful lens, and so I upgraded to the A6700, and then Carly's using the A6000 with my other lens, and so that's how she's been able to kind of do the photography with me.
Yeah. Which lens is it? Like 100, 400 or?
It's a 200 to 600.
Okay, nice.
Yeah, the Sony. Yeah,
I
yeah.
mean, it'd be far
It's
better if it was actually a Canon. That's just my
I call
me and
it.
my Canon love.
Unfortunately I call it the Canon because it looks like a cannon, but I don't say that often, but because it's confusing. But
Cameras are tribal. I'm on the Canon
yeah,
team. Other people use Nikon, some Sony, whatever. It's
yeah,
just me and my beloved Canon.
yeah.
But no, beautiful, beautiful lens, and it's fantastic for video as well.
Mhm.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Cool.
Have you
The
seen
gear is endless. Go
Oh,
ahead, Sarah.
endless gear? I was going to ask if you've seen the red poles this year because they're here this year. So definitely look for them.
I've been seeing a lot of photos of the red poles, and I haven't seen them. But like I said, the photos are all over the Facebook page, and I'm just like, dang, where are these? And
We
like,
thought we
yeah,
saw
honestly,
them.
you'll
yeah.
find them if you use playback.
Hmm.
Yeah.
Playback's very contentious. We're not going to go there, but um,
Yeah.
you know, if you find one, you'll find 20, 30, 40, 60, 100.
Wow.
There's some big flocks kicking around right now.
Would college road?
Yeah. Listen for them. Listen to the calls so that you recognize them. They've got a really sort of a chip, chip, chip sort of call. And they look a lot like goldfinches when they're just flying around.
Yeah.
But you notice that they've got a different call. So keep an ear out.
Yeah, I will. Yeah, I always question whether what I'm hearing in the winter are actually goldfinches, or seeing them if there's not good light. I'm like, was that a goldfinch? And then I don't have binoculars, and they're gone. I'm like, oh well, all right.
Yeah. Andrew's saying College Road in Windsor might be a good place for the red poles.
Okay.
Oh.
Um,
That was the road that I ran those 1,000 kilometers that I mentioned, College Road, but that was before birds. So
how remarkably tiring running 1,000 kilometers. Sorry, that's again my
yeah.
Hey.
um. I'm going to pronounce it wrong. I'm sorry. I shouldn't. Ghislaine? Yeah, I think you had a question.
Yes, it's just about your health. I was wondering
Sure.
if you are hopeful that someday your headaches will be so mild that you will hardly notice them. I wish that for you, but are you hopeful to reach that level someday?
Yes, and it's only in the last 6 months that I've been given more proof that that is possible because I've if the healthcare system in Nova Scotia is quite slow with getting services, as some of you might know, but I was on the wait list for the the chronic pain clinic for I think 4 years, around 4 years, and I finally got off the list and I had my first appointment with it happened to be a neurologist, and I've been trying to see a neurologist for a decade, and the only way now that I am able to see one is through the pain clinic, and it just so happened I didn't know I was going to go see a neurologist at the pain clinic, and it just so happened this neurologist moved to Nova Scotia in the fall because of what's going on in the United States that he moved with his wife because the medical funding for his job was cut. And so he's like, let's go somewhere else. All that to say that I am now trialing new medications that I didn't know existed, that only a neurologist who specializes, his specialty is headaches, specifically, not strokes, not any other brain function, but headaches. And so I had one appointment with him already, and he went through a huge list of medications that he would like to try me on over however many years it's going to take. And I actually have my second appointment with him tomorrow, and so we've been trialing a particular medication that has yielded some results. There's some new medication that just came onto the market that is quite expensive. It's like $100 a pill every day. That fortunately is covered by my medical insurance, which I'm really grateful for. And we're just trialing different things, and he has expressed, he said he sees people like me when he was at his clinic in Philadelphia. He said, I see you 1,000 times a month. Someone like you, like you would not believe how many people are in the same situation as you are. And he said, I tell you, at around the 10-year mark, between 5 and 10 years, they start to see improvements that are enough that the headache, that pain is just in the background, it's just background noise. And that's kind of the goal. And I know that's kind of what you alluded to, and that's what I'm hoping for. And I think I'm moving in that direction. Um, but to be determined.
That makes my heart glad, and I'm rooting
Um,
for you. Just be
Thank you.
patient.
Yeah, I appreciate it.
Yeah, we certainly are getting some more medical professionals here
Hmm.
coming up from different areas, shall we say, around the world.
Yeah,
So there is positive stuff happening, but some things can be slow.
yeah.
But yeah, no, all the best with that, my man. All the best.
Thank you.
Any more questions from anybody at all? If not, we'll start winding things down. If you are
Sure.
heading
Yeah.
down this way, Cape Foshu, the Yarmouth area, just please get in touch. We mean that. We're regularly hosting birders down here. You'll find this is quite a common thing for birders to say.
Mm.
So we can show you around our patch or whatever else.
Yeah. It's a guarantee. You will absolutely hear from me.
We're fortunate where we are. We've got, I don't know, 3 acres and ocean and marsh and everything. The yard, what's that yard list now?
197.
Yeah, the yard list is just under 200 birds.
Wow.
So there's
That's amazing.
plenty of stuff out there.
I'll show up and get like 20 lifers in 20 seconds.
Depends on the time of year. Let me
Yeah.
show you right now. We got about 6 species this afternoon, but there we go. It's just how it is.
Jeez.
Such is life. But there we go. If that's everything, thank you very much again for the presentation. Great
You're
seeing
very
you.
welcome.
And thanks everybody. This should be up on YouTube in a few days. Again, the email will go out, etc., etc., with all the links. And yeah, really appreciate it. And keep checking out the events sections, everybody.
Thank you, everyone.
No problem. Have a great evening. Take care. Bye.
See you.
Bye.
I think he didn't take back the host.
That's funny.
Yeah, so he left.
That's hilarious.
Yeah.
I'll end it. Natalie, thank you also.
Yeah. You're quite welcome. Thank you for coming to the AGM, meeting us, reaching out to us. We really appreciate you doing that in the first place.
Yeah.
And I really enjoyed that podcast.
And
Yeah.
it's so wonderful, Natalie, for us and all of us who've been birding for years and years and years to hear your excitement when you
Yeah.
see the first of something. I remember. And
And
it
you never
brings
forget,
it
do you,
back,
Joan?
and
Never
it's
forget.
just so wonderful. And I'm going to live forever because there's a lot more birds I want to see. Thank you. Thank you,
Thank you.
Natalie.
Thanks, Marcel. We'll see you.
Bye-bye,
We'll see you
dears.
out there
Thank you.
somewhere.
You bet.
See you.
All right. Good
I'll shut it
night.
down. I'll shut it down for everybody.
Okay, thanks.